Good day, Junior Tikkies. I'm Mrs. Brimacombe. We're going to look now at Chapter 1, Accounting Theory, Activity 4. Question 1. Explain the term profit and loss in your own words. So when we look at profit, it means that our income is more than our expenses. When we talk about loss, that means our expenses is more than our income. It exceeds our income. That means then that the business made a loss. Provide two formulas to calculate the owner's equity. So there are two ways in which we can calculate this. One, our owner's equity equals assets minus liabilities. Please remember, when we're talking about the accounting equation, it means that the left-hand side should be equal to the right-hand side. It's an equation. So there are different ways in which it can be expressed. Our basic accounting equation, which we looked at in the previous activity as well, we looked at assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. What is the effect on our assets, owner's equity, and liabilities? But now, if we want to calculate the owner's equity, we can take our owner's equity equals assets minus liabilities, or we can say our capital plus our net profit minus our drawings. And if we made a loss, we would say capital minus our loss minus our drawings. So remember the two different ways in which it can be calculated. The third question says calculate the profit or loss in each of the following cases and indicate how this will influence the owner's equity. So this will give you a better understanding why we say that our income and our expenses affects the owner's equity. So our total income was 96,000 minus our expenses 55,000 means that we've made a profit of 41,000. If the business makes a profit, that will have a positive effect on the owner's equity. Number 2, our income was 78,000 and our expenses 102,500. So it's clear that our expenses exceed our income. To show our calculation, it means we're going to take 78,000 minus 102,500. This will give us a negative 24,500. In accounting, a negative amount is shown in brackets. That means that the business made a loss. And as soon as the business makes a loss, it will have a negative effect on our owner's equity. The third part of this question, we now need to look at. We've got fee income, rent income, stationery, packing material, wages, and trading license. So these are all income and expenses. And now we need to calculate, did we make a profit or did we make a loss? So now, sorting out all our income, we have fee income, 46,200, rent income, 12,600, and then we have our expenses, stationery, packing material, wages, and trading license. And this is why it is so important for you to understand what is regarded as an income and what is regarded as expenses. Once we've got this now, we can calculate our total income minus our total expenses, which means that the business made a profit of 36,890. And if the business makes a profit, this will have a positive effect on the owner's equity. Question 4.4. The financial position of a business is expressed in terms of assets that the business owns and who has interest in those assets. This can be illustrated on the accounting equation. So if we look at fill in the headings to indicate the accounting equation, and this is what I said earlier about the accounting equation can be shown in different ways. If we look at assets, it equals owner's equity plus liabilities. Owner's equity is so that we can find out the net worth of the owner is our assets minus liabilities. And if we're looking at our liabilities, then we say liabilities equals assets plus our owner's equity. Question 4.5. So balance each of the following on the accounting equation by filling in the missing amounts. So this accounting equation, we're looking at assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. So if we look at the first one, to find out our liabilities, it means that we have to take our assets minus our owner's equity, and that equals our liabilities. Now, if you look at this, 140,000 equals what is 90,000 plus 50,000? 140,000. Looking at the second one, we've got our assets and we've got our liabilities. Reminder, assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. So to find out our owner's equity, we're going to have to take 864,000 minus 250,000. Now, if you take your owner's equity and you add your liabilities, it will equal our total assets. In the third one, we have to find assets. So to find out what is our assets, it means that we have to take 248,000 and now we need to add our liabilities 135,000. That will equal my total assets. Again, the left-hand side of the equation must be equal to the right-hand side of the equation. Next one. To find out our owner's equity, we need to take the difference, which means 178,545 minus our 40,000. If I add those two together, it should equal your total assets. It cannot exceed the total assets. Then we need to find the last one, our assets. To find our assets, it means we have to take our owner's equity plus liabilities, and that equals our assets. So this is just a basic question for you to understand that the accounting equation, my assets must equal my owner's equity plus my liabilities. And that's how I can find the missing figures. So 4.6, it says, the information below relates to speedy deliveries on 29 February 2024. Required? Use the information to answer the question that follows. So if we've got our information, you will see that there's a list of accounts with amounts. And now they've asked us, identify each account under the headings provided as an asset, owner's equity, income, expense, or liability. So if we look at this now, and we sort this out, we're going to start with our assets. So identifying the assets would be land and buildings, bank. Remember that we're only looking at assets now. And then we have vehicles. Next, we need to identify our owner's equity. So looking at our owner's equity, there's only two direct owner's equity accounts. That will be capital and drawings. Income, we've got fee income, we've got interest on current account, and that is it. Next, we need to look at our expenses. So our expenses, we've got salaries, water and electricity, rates and taxes, telephone, and our liabilities, it's all of that which is left over, which is our loan from Standard Bank and creditors. So can you see why it's so important for you to classify each account? Now we can answer the next question, which says, calculate the total assets. So we've sorted this out. Our assets consist out of land and buildings plus bank plus vehicles. So our total assets is 985,525. The next question says, calculate the total liabilities. Again, we've sorted out there were only two liabilities, which were the loan, 400,000, plus the creditors, 18,000. So our total liabilities is 418,000. Now we need to calculate the total net profit or loss. So to calculate our net profit or loss means that we have to take our income minus our expenses. So to start off, we said our income consists out of fee income plus interest on current account. Then we've got our expenses, which is our salaries, water and electricity, rates and taxes, and telephone. So if I add all of that, we get our total income minus our total expenses, which means that the business made a profit of 105,525. Why did we make a profit? Because our income exceeds our expenses. Now, question number 5, calculate the owner's equity. Remember, there are different ways in which we can calculate the owner's equity. So to calculate the owner's equity, we have to take our capital plus our net profit minus our drawings. So our capital amount is 500,000. The business made a profit of 105,525. So it's important that you use your answers calculated in your previous questions. Even if it's incorrect, make sure that you use your answers which you have calculated. So we've made a profit. Now we need to subtract our drawings. This means that our owner's equity is 567,525. And now if we show this financial position of Speedy Deliveries by completing the accounting equation, our assets we've calculated 985,525. Our owner's equity will come to now. Our liabilities we've calculated 418,000. So now if you take your assets minus your liabilities, you will get exactly the same answer in what we've calculated on top in 4.6.5, which is 567,525. If it's not the same, it means somewhere you have made a mistake. So this activity kind of brings it together. What we've done so far is by identifying the business account name, indicating if it is an asset, liability, owner's equity, income, or expense, calculating if the business made a profit or a loss, and how that will influence your owner's equity. We've looked also now a little bit more on the accounting equation by looking at what is the financial position of the business. Assets equals owner's equity plus liabilities. How to calculate the net worth. Assets minus liabilities. I want to leave you with this quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Hope you have a wonderful day.